Hello, thank you so much for tuning in. In today's video, we are going to be talking about budgeting. So if you are someone that is getting married, I'm going to show you what exactly you should include when you are doing a wedding budget. All right. So I hope this video is insightful and you do enjoy it. Please don't forget to share it with your friends and family. If you have any family members that are getting married, let them watch this video so that they can learn and know about things that they should be including when they're drawing up their budget. All right, so let us get into it. Okay, so we are going to be doing our wedding budget, right? So when drawing up a wedding budget, it's very important for you to know which items to include and which items to not include. So now, let's begin our wedding budget. So now, the first thing that we are going to be looking at when we are drawing up our budget is we are going to be looking at the bride. A lot of times brides tend to, not start with themselves. They always want to start with the catering. They always want to start with everything except themselves. But we are going to start with the bride. So we're going to start with jewelry of the bride. So we will put in, for instance, 2,000 Rand. I will put in for my jewelry. And my jewelry are going to include my earrings. It's going to include my wedding ring. My wedding rings that I will do. It will include my bridal gown, which is very important because you need to look good on that day. And then after that, I'm going to include my veil or my head piece into my budget. After that, you need to look at how much you're going to be spending on your shoes, which is very, very important. Please note that this video, we're going to be tackling the nitty-gritties that will be included. You're going to look at your shoes, right? So these shoes will include your shoes and obviously your husband's shoes. So we can even say here that we are looking at the bride and is it groom? Yes, it's called the groom, the bride and groom. So we'll look at their shoes, we'll look at the groom's tuxedo, and we'll also look at the groom's shoes. All right, so those are all the items that should be included within our outfits and what we are going to be wearing. So now, here I've written estimated and actual. So let's say, for instance, I decide that my jewelry is going to cost me 2,000, right? That is how much I estimate. After deciding how much it cost me, I should actually go to the jewelry store and look for something that is under 2,000 Rand so that I don't spend more than what I'm supposed to be spending. Then we go to our wedding ring. So in jewelry, would obviously include my wedding ring, and then it will include my earrings. Okay, so maybe a 2,000 Rand budget for wedding ring is a little bit unrealistic because depending on the type of ring that you want. Okay, so I just think for my jewelry, I will just put in 2,000 Rand. All right, and then actual. So this is what I'm going to do when I go to the shops, just to get the actual amount, how much they cost, right? Then after that, I'll get a wedding gown. So maybe for my wedding gown, I will pay a maximum of 10,000 Rand for my wedding gown. For my veil, I will say it'll cost me 450 Rand. My shoes, I'm giving myself 800 Rand to purchase those shoes. A tuxedo, normally tuxedos are a little bit quite costly compared to wedding dresses because you can always wear it after the wedding. I will give myself a maximum of 15,000. And for the groom's shoes, obviously those will be 3,000 Rand. Yes. So now, as soon as I'm done with my bride and groom, I'm going to move on to my decoration. So for my decoration, I'm going to include things such as the venue. How much is it for the venue? I'm going to include my table centerpieces, and then my lighting. I will then include my balloons and my rice. Okay, so rice is obviously those things that they throw on you. So this is just for the decoration, right? That you will be included. Or the easiest way to actually do this in terms of decoration is to just maybe get somebody and ask them how much it costs, you know. But obviously for the venue, you'll then say, okay, we will pay 50,000 Rand for the venue, and then obviously for your decorations and your lights and everything like that, you can just get somebody. I remember when I was getting married, this actually took quite a lot from the budget, so you can actually, you know, budget 70,000 Rand for all of these things, right? And then after that, now it's the reception. So I'm going to include the reception because this actually depends on how you are going to get married, however you decide. So when I'm drawing up a budget for my reception, for instance, right, I need to know the price of the hall, you know, because sometimes you find that, for example, you would get married, right? But where you do your matrimonial is not necessarily where you're going to have your reception. So you need to know the price of the hall, or are you going to do it at home? How much is it also going to cost you for your decorations? So your decorations would be your tables, your chairs, right? And then how much is it going to cost you for your cake? How much is it going to cost you for your drinks? Drinks including water and all the drinks that we'll be having. And how much is it going to include your staff? Are you going to have waiters walking around serving people food, or how will it work? Now, the next item that we are going to be looking at is our stationery. So stationery would obviously be your invitation cards. I remember when I was getting married, we decided to have our own stationery. So under our stationery, that would be our invitation cards. So when it comes to stationery, you need to decide, are you going to do it yourself, or are you going to get somebody else to do it? So if you get somebody else to get invitation cards, hence I say have a maximum of the estimated how much you are willing to pay and how much it actually costs, right? So then thank you cards are very important when you're doing a wedding. So other people have just thank you cards with a little bit of sweets. So depending on which one you want to do, guest book. Well, you don't really need a guest book, or maybe you do for your guests to actually sign in, but yeah, no, we're not going to include that because I don't think it's a necessity when you are getting married. But you do need a program that you're going to be putting on the different tables. You're going to definitely need a program. And yeah, so now let us move on to our next item. So our next item, I'm just going to just draw it up here. Because remember, this is not me necessarily drawing up the budget. This is a template of what to include within your wedding budget when you are drawing up your wedding budget. So next up would obviously be our flowers. Now, when it comes to flowers, you can actually include these within your decorations, right? So, but other people want it separate because there are two different suppliers for in terms of the flowers. So in flowers, you obviously look at your bouquet. And then from looking at your bouquet, you look at the flowers that you'll use for your matrimonial ceremony and also for your reception. Right, so that is in terms of the flowers that you'll need. And also I know flower girls are also included, and your bridesmaids will also need flowers for that. Now when we move on to our next item, you can talk about the music and entertainment. So in terms of our music and entertainment, right, so are you going to have musicians who are going to be there? Is it going to be musicians, or is it going to be a band that you'll be paying for? Don't forget your photography, very important. You need photos for the day for you to look absolutely stunning. And obviously, how much is it for, how much are you going to be spending for your videography? Right. and how much is it going to spend you to actually print everything. Because sometimes you find that they give you everything in a USB, but sometimes you just want it to be printed out. So how much is that going to cost you when you start printing it out? And now let's talk about transportation, right? So there's also transport that you need to consider. How are you going to get to the wedding? I know a lot of people that get married use different cars from the cars that they actually use. So you need to think about transportation. Are you going to be using a limousine? And how much is that going to cost you in terms of your expenses? And so that is things that are important for you to include when you are drawing up your wedding budget. So this is just a guide to show you how much you need. Don't forget, it's always your estimated, right? So your estimated would be how much you think it's going to be right now and the actual cost. So immediately after filling up and drawing up your budget and all the items that you'll be needing, and after including all these items, you look at your estimated, then you actually now go to the shops and start looking how much it actually costs and try to see if am I realistic with a 10,000 rand wedding gown or are they more. And then after that, you'll compare the two. And after comparing the two, you can decide whether you'll increase or decrease your budget. You can also decide what is important, what is not important. For example, maybe for the venue, instead of you having two different venues, for the matrimony and the reception, you can decide to just do one combined thing. So this is just a guide that is going to help you when you're drawing up your wedding budget so that you don't go over budget or overspend or find yourself in a situation where everything becomes expensive. I think I've actually forgot about the food, which is very important. So you also need to decide on the kind of food that your people are going to be eating. So you need to talk about, are they going to eat at the reception? Are they going to only eat at the reception? Are they going to eat after the matrimony? Is there a break in between? Because I remember, for instance, when I was getting married, immediately after the matrimonial ceremony, what we decided to do was to cut our cake after that, which is very different from what a normal person would actually do. And then they'd have like light finger foods, and it's only then at the reception where people would have the 3-course meal. So you need to sit down and speak to your partner and how to draw up your budget. I remember sometimes, I know there are certain people who do get married where they get people who actually help them with certain items. So if you are one of those people, for instance, maybe somebody is paying for your wedding rings and just dressed up, that is, you are saving money there. After you save that money, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to maybe take it and put it somewhere else, or are you going to save it for honeymoon, for instance? So that's the food. And don't forget the honeymoon. How much are you going to spend on that? So these are just the important items that you should be including when you are doing your budget for your wedding. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this video was insightful. Please do not forget to share it with your friends and family, and congratulations on your wedding. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed wedding.